Rangers teenage Canadian prospect Mitch Bratt got absolutely rocked by Team USA last night in the World Baseball Classic. What is next for Jacob deGrom after he made his first start of spring training with Rangers? And what should Rangers fans expect from year 2 of Marcus Semien? We're talking about all that and more on this episode of Locked On Rangers. Let's get into it.
You are Locked On Rangers, your daily Texas Rangers podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
You are locked on to the Texas Rangers. I'm Bryce Patrick, a cripplingly addicted Texas Rangers fan since 2010, the founder and host for all 4 seasons of this Locked On Rangers podcast. Thank you all so much for making Locked On Rangers your first listen every single day. If you're not already, you can follow me on Twitter at Bryce Patrick. You can follow the show at Locked On Rangers. Subscribe on YouTube, where the best way you can help grow the show is to comment nearly any single thing below. We got a lot to get into in today's show, but before we do, this episode is brought to you by Ultimate Baseball GM. Ever dreamed of becoming an MLB GM and managing your baseball franchise? Well, this game is definitely for you. To download the game, just visit ultimatebaseballgm.com or look it up on the app stores. Our listeners get a 100% free boost to their franchise when using the promo code LOCKEDON in all caps in the game. Now, let's start with what I think was the biggest Rangers baseball news yesterday. I mean, yes, Jacob deGrom made his first start, but it's America. It's about America and a teenage Rangers prospect and a former Ranger great versus a future Ranger great on the pitching mound. Lance Lynn was the starter for Team USA, and old Mitch Bratt was the Team Canada starter against a very, very challenging Team USA line. If you don't know about Mitch Bratt, he was the number 17 prospect in my preseason top Rangers prospect rankings. 6'1", 190-pound left-hander who is 19 years old, does not turn 20 until July 3rd, was born in Newmarket, Canada, a 5th-round pick in the 2021 draft, who had a really solid first season of full season ball last year with Down East. He was nearly 4 years younger than the average pitcher, a 2.45 ERA, 80 and 2/3 innings, 99 strikeouts, 11 Ks per 9, 3.1 walks per 9, only half a home run per 9, does not give up a lot of home runs. And, you know, that's what I will say is to his benefit in this absolute massacre 12-1 win by Team USA. The U.S. scored 9 runs in the first inning. Old Mitch Bratt was not able to get out of the first inning. And when you see the lineup, you'll realize why. He battled pretty hard against Mookie Betts and gave up a opposite field single down to the right side. Then 4-pitch walk to Mike Trout. Then a 5-pitch walk to Paul Goldschmidt. Nolan Arenado doubled to left field, scoring a pair. Kyle Tucker sacrifice fly to left fielder Jacob Robson and scored Paul Goldschmidt. Then Tim Anderson walked. JT Realmuto singled to score Nolan Arenado, and that was the day for Mitch Bratt. Not a whole lot of strikes that were not getting hit. Just not a whole lot of strikes in general, and it was rough. It was really rough to watch for this kid. I think it'll be a good experience for him. I'm sure he was nervous and excited with a lineup that starts 1, 2, 3 with 3 surefire Hall of Famers in their freaking primes. Plus, probably the 4-hole hitter I think is probably going to be a Hall of Famer in Nolan Arenado. And it doesn't really get any easier after that. I mean, he didn't even get to Trey Turner or Cedric Mullins, who were hitting 8th and 9th, which is just kind of insane. Or, you have JT Realmuto hitting 7th, which is just absolutely bonkers. But it kind of blows my mind that this is who Team Canada decided to trot out there. I mean, no offense to Mitch Bratt. He's a good prospect. He is very young and very inexperienced, but there are plenty of other major leaguers that could have been in this game for Team Canada. There's a lot of major league pitchers. Matt Brash, who is a reliever for, I think he's still with Seattle. No, I think he just got traded to Toronto in that Teoscar Hernandez deal. There is James Paxton, which he's been super injury riddled, so I get him wanting to stay in camp. There is Nick Pivetta, who I would have thought they might have saved for him. Pitcher Zach Pop, who is with the Toronto Blue Jays. Cal Quantrill, starter for the Cleveland Guardians. Jordan Romano, who is, I believe, the closer for Toronto. You know he's in their bullpen. Mike Soroka also could have made this start. Rowan Wick. Rob Zastrinski, of the Pirates. And there are surely some AAA guys and some AA guys that are more seasoned than Mitch Bratt that they could have called on in this start, and it felt kind of rude, honestly, to start him in this game. Plus, not to mention that Team USA just got absolutely shellacked the day before by Team Mexico, just absolutely dominated. And the offense hadn't done much. I mean, Vance Worley, who hadn't pitched in the big league since 2017, threw 2 1/3 innings without an earned run being allowed. He did have a pair of unearned runs, but still, this Team USA lineup was not only good, not only pissed off, but they just were locked in for old Mitch Bratt. So I just want to tip my hat to that kid who is probably going to start the season in high A and not going to have to face any surefire Hall of Famers in their prime who have already got some major league experience under their belts. But good for him to just get out there. He gotten out. Yeah, it was a sac fly. It led to a run. But still, he didn't pitch scared. He did his best, and having Team Canada some surefire Hall of Famers behind him of Joey Votto and Freddie Freeman, who just came and pat him on the back to say, hey, we're behind you, man. You got this, and we believe in you. Tough outing for the kid, but it was he did his best, and I wanted to shout him out for that. But another guy who pitched for the Rangers, pitches in the Rangers organization, a little bit better than Mitch Bratt, no offense, is a guy named Jacob deGrom, who started his first game of spring training. It was a minor league game. It was against the Royals AAA affiliate. And he did allow an inside-the-park home run to a 21-year-old Royals prospect who I'm sure will just absolutely tell that story for the rest of his freaking life, as he should. But the main takeaway is that Jacob deGrom looked like Jacob deGrom. He looked healthy. He felt healthy. All of his pitches looked good. They had the right amount of spin rates and miles per hour and all kinds of stuff. And Bruce Bochy said that he's not worried about Jacob deGrom or Nathan Eovaldi not being ready for opening day. They're going to be ready. They're probably going to be unlimited pitch counts, but we've seen what Jacob deGrom can do on a limited pitch count recently, even against, the opening day team that the Rangers are going to be facing in the Philadelphia Phillies. When he came back to the Mets last year, he was kind of rehabbing at the big league level a little bit, and his first start, he only threw 59 pitches. At this point, it's looking like he's going to throw 60 to 75 pitches by opening day. He's going to have a couple more starts. Bruce Bochy said last week that they're probably going to get about 3 starts out of Jacob deGrom this spring before he gets there for opening day. So I believe it'll be either Sunday or Saturday, if my math on days is correct, of when Jacob deGrom will get there for his next spring training start. But he's healthy, felt healthy, looked good, and was his usual efficient deGrom self. That is a hugely great sign for the Rangers. We're going to get into a little bit of what happened last time, what to expect from Jacob deGrom in those first starts on limited pitch counts, and Marcus Semien expectations in year 2. Before we do all that, today's episode is brought to you by Ultimate Baseball GM. I am really excited to tell you guys about our new partner that's sponsoring today's show. It's the mobile game Ultimate Baseball GM. If you ever dreamed about becoming an MLB GM and managing your own professional baseball franchise, your dream can come true, and this is definitely for you. Manage every strategic aspect of your team, play through the season, and lead your team to glory. You're responsible for hiring the right coaches and staff, manage team finances, scouting and drafting players, manage difficult personalities, which not that the Rangers have ever had any of those on their teams, but you can navigate your franchise through free agency, all the ups and downs of the season, which the Rangers franchise has actually happened to do quite a bit. So if you want to pretend like you're Chris Young and go sign yourself the equivalent of a Jacob deGrom, you can go play this super realistic game. But Locked On Rangers listeners get a 100% free boost to their franchise when using this promo Locked On in all caps in the game. So make sure to check it out. To download the game, just visit probaseballgm.com or scan the code as you're looking here on YouTube in the bottom right hand corner of your screen. Just scan those, look it up in the app stores. That's probaseballgm.com. Ultimate Baseball GM. Start your dynasty today. Now, the last time Jacob deGrom was pitching for the first time in an MLB season was last year. Obviously, he came in and threw 59 pitches against the Washington Nationals in his first start. He went 5 innings, allowed 3 hits, 1 run, which was earned, and struck out 6. Did not allow a walk. Then the next time out, he goes up against the Atlanta Braves in the middle of a pennant chase where he had to keep the Mets in it, and he threw 76 pitches, 5 2/3 innings, allowed a couple of runs, both of which were earned, both of those on a home run. The only base runners that he actually allowed, a walk and 1 hit, which happened to leave the fence. 12 strikeouts in 5 2/3 innings against the Atlanta Braves. Then his third start of the season, still on a limited pitch count, 76 pitches, 57 strikes against the Philadelphia Phillies on August 13th. He started the game, went 6 innings, didn't allow a single walk, allowed a pair of hits, no hit by pitches, no other base runners of any kind, and he struck out 10. On 76 pitches, he was able to go 6 shutout innings, 2 hits, 10 Ks. That's the kind of stuff that Jacob deGrom can do, even if he is limited, even if he is only throwing so many pitches. And it seems like that's about where he's going to be at pitch count-wise. What those 3 starts, he threw against the Braves, he threw 76 pitches in that second game. By game number 4, he was throwing 95 pitches, and then he finally got up to the 100-pitch mark for the first time September 18th, which I believe was his 9th start of the season. But the other starts, he was in the 85 at minimum to 95 pitch count. So I'm thinking by the end of the month, even probably by start number 4, is what this, if this pattern holds, is what it's looking like. He threw 95 pitches in his 4th start, August 18th, 16 days after his first start against the Braves. Was that fourth start. The first start was against the Nationals. The 4th start was against the Braves. So we've seen what Jacob deGrom can do on limited pitch counts when he is coming back from injury. That one was a little bit more of a major injury. This one, this little side tweak, was a little bit less of a major injury. So hoping that the plan right now, the whole point of him taking his time, the Rangers being extra cautious so he can get 30 starts in and be his full Jacob deGrom self for an entire season, because that is something very, very special to watch. But you know who else is very special? Marcus Semien. Fantastic player who had a really rough start that kind of just marred all of last season. And I don't think everyone, myself included, really realized how good and how consistent he was once that skid was ended. We all know how bad the first few months of the season was for him, but let's just look at it one more time for posterity's sake, and so we can have that to compare to when hopefully in this April and March he is significantly better. For his career, he has not been the fastest starter, but I am really of the mindset that he is going to be a much faster starter this year. Last year, there was a whole freaking mess of going to a new team and the lockout and spring training being weird and being in a new stadium, new team. It was a lot of change for him. This year, he's been working out. He's been staying in Arlington. That's where he lives. And he's been working out at Globe Life Field, which is where he plays his home games, which is where he also, we'll get into that in a second, how he did not hit very well at Globe Life Field. But the first month of the season, April/March, 21 games there, hit 157, an on-base of 229, a 443 OPS, no home runs. In the month of May, he had 1 home run, which I believe was the final weekend of May, if memory serves, but that whole month was also really incredibly rough. A 619 OPS, on base below 300, slugging just 320, and it was tough to watch. And the data backs it up. He was not hitting the ball hard. He was not having good at bats. He was frustrated. He was doing things that he doesn't normally do. But then I said it for the entire 2 months that he was struggling. Like, once he gets that first home run, everything is going to change, and everything did change. In the month of June, he was absolutely fantastic. 26 games, just a little over or a little under 120 plate appearances that month, an 849 OPS, 7 home runs. He had at least 6 home runs in every month of the season after May, which is where he hit his first home run. 7 homers in June, 6 in July, August, and September/October combined. Had 6 in that month as well. An 840 OPS in July, and 824 OPS in September and October. Down to 725 in August, so a little bit of a scuffle there. But still, fairly consistent. Looked like the player the Rangers thought they were getting when they signed him to that 7-year deal. And one of the things that I really liked about Marcus Semien is that he kind of reminded me a little bit of Adrian Beltre in his career arc and the timing of him getting to Texas, a guy who had been a very good player for a long time, not always appreciated like it, had one really absolutely amazing season and with 40 plus home runs and finished in the top 3 of MVP voting, but lost out to a historic figure. That was Marcus Semien in, 2 years, actually. Semien did it twice, finished 3rd in MVP voting in 2019 and 2021. 2021, he lost out to Shohei Ohtani, breaking our baseball minds of what is possible. And for Adrian Beltre, who did that in 2004 when he had 48 bombs and lost out on MVP to Barry Bonds, which, again, happens to the best of us, literally everyone. And Marcus Semien also lost out again when he finished 3rd in 2019 to Mike Trout. But the way these guys age, there is a reason why I felt very similar of them coming in. And let's take a look at Adrian Beltre and how he aged and how that might benefit Marcus Semien, because both those guys take really good care of their body. And I think the Rangers kind of saw that a little bit in Marcus Semien, which is why they signed him. We're going to get into a little bit of that and my expectations for Marcus Semien, some stats that I think he will put up this year. We'll get into all of that. But first, this episode is brought to you by FanDuel. The midway point of the NBA season is here, and now is the perfect time to download FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook, because new customers get a no-sweat first bet up to $1,000. That's bonus bets back if your first bet doesn't win. Just download the FanDuel Sportsbook app. It is safe, secure, and it is super easy to use. Then you can bet on everything from the money line to point scores and threes drained as well. Plus, FanDuel even lets you combine your bets for a chance at a bigger payout with a same-game parlay. So don't miss your chance to get your no-sweat first bet up to $1,000 in bonus bets when you go to FanDuel.com/lockedon. That's FanDuel.com/lockedon to learn more. Make every moment more. Visit FanDuel. Visit an official sports betting partner of the NBA. Now, let's take a little bit of a look at Adrian Beltre's career arc. He was about the same age as Marcus Semien was when they both signed with the Rangers, just a year older. Beltre signed with the Rangers in 2011 after his first ever All-Star season, which, again, is exactly what happened with Marcus Semien. Semien had his first ever All-Star season in 2021 at age 30, signed for his age 31 season with Texas. Beltre had a little bit of a better first year with the Rangers, finished top 15 in MVP voting, won a Gold Glove, won a Silver Slugger, was an All-Star. Marcus Semien did not do any of those things last year, unfortunately. Did not get any MVP votes, but, still ended up having a really, really solid year. Last year, Marcus Semien had a 5.7 baseball reference WAR. 5.7. That was incredible. It was one of the best second basemen in all of baseball. Was the best mark on the Rangers by a wide margin. Martin Perez had a 5.0 baseball reference WAR, and the next closest position player was 1.8? Yeah, 1.8 WAR behind him in Corey Seager at 3.9, which, again, I think was a little unfair to Corey Seager. But then again, you go and look at the Fangraphs WAR, and Fangraphs WAR did not like Marcus Semien's defense nearly as much as Baseball Reference did, which it has not liked Marcus Semien's defense for a while. But Marcus Semien, I think, is going to age very similarly to Adrian Beltre. Beltre didn't have quite the same extensive level of being insanely healthy and playing 160 games, but they played, actually, Beltre missed 38 games. Yeah, 38 games. Only played 124 games his first season in Texas, and he still finished top 15 in MVP voting. Then the next year comes back, his age 33 season, plays 156 games, finishes 3rd in MVP voting, and has a 921 OPS, and one of the best years of his career. The second best OPS of his career actually came in his age 33 season. Had another All-Star appearance in 2014, had several more top 7th place MVP finishes, 1, 2, 3 more, all the way to his age 37 season, which I believe is 1 year before. Let's see, I think that might be the last year, how old Marcus Semien is going to be in his final year of his contract with the Texas Rangers. I don't know if he's going to be winning a Gold Glove and finishing 7th in MVP voting in whatever year he is 37. I think that will be 2026 2026 or something. I don't know. I'm not capable of doing that kind of. No, it'll be later than that. It'll be 2028, I believe. I don't think he'll be finishing 7th in MVP voting. Maybe he will. But this guy takes care of his body really, really well. He has missed no more than 10 games in a season. Actually, he's only done that once since 2015. In Oakland in 2017, he played 85 games that year. But other than that, it's been 150 plus in all of the full seasons. Since then, 162 in 2019 and 2021. Missed just one game last year and missed 7 games in the shortened season of 2020 because that was a real rough one for him. But he has been incredibly healthy for his career. Beltre has also been pretty healthy in his career and stayed healthy through his what should have been the twilight of his career and extended that twilight into an extended prime. I mean, even in his next to last season, Beltre at age 38, granted he missed a lot of time in 2017, only played at 94 games, but had a 915 OPS in that season where he missed a decent chunk due to injury. And in his last year, a 763 OPS at age 39, playing nearly 120 games. That was the first time he really didn't look like himself. I don't know that Marcus Semien is going to play to 39 like Adrian Beltre or age like the finest of wines like Adrian Beltre, but still, I think there are definitely some similar comparisons, the kind of players that they are, the respect they have around the league, how, you know, in their kind of older age is finally when they're starting to make people realize, oh, this guy has been a really darn good player for a long time, and the national media or just the national baseball consciousness hasn't really thought of them in that echelon, and or echelon, however the heck you're supposed to pronounce it, and a late twilight extension of their career, being healthy and being excellent and finding new levels of success in that old age when almost every other player is starting to fall off and continuing to get better. I think that might be what is in store for Marcus Semien this year. The projections on him from Baseball Reference and from Fangraphs are pretty varied, honestly. They are fairly different for Baseball Reference. They have him projected for 630 plate appearances, 26 bombs, hitting 247, on base of 310, and a slugging percentage of 444. That is a 754 OPS, which is a few points higher than what he did last year. I think it's going to be significantly higher than that. The Zips projections for Fangraphs are pretty excited about him. They have been projected for a 5.6 WAR season, which would be the third best of his career behind 2019 and 2021, and significantly better than the 4.2 Fangraphs WAR that he had in 2022, which again, I think should have been a little bit higher. But the power numbers, they have him at 28 home runs next year, 16 stolen bases, which again, he's stealing bases now, so just kind of factor that in. But they have him hitting 264 on base in the 330s, slugging 473, which I believe, if my math is correct, that is an OPS just north of 800, I think 805, and a 349 WOBA, which would be, again, second highest of his career behind 2021 and 2019. I'm kind of leaning more towards these Fangraphs projections. I wish they would like his defense a little bit more, because that would get his WAR up to 6 to 6.5. But last year, he was a top 5 second baseman, according to Fangraphs WAR. He was behind Jose Altuve, Andres Jimenez, Jeff McNeil, and Tommy Edman. He was significantly behind Tommy Edman, just a little bit ahead of Jake Cronenworth. He had a 4.2 WAR season, Cronenworth behind him at 4.1, and Edman at 5.6, because they significantly like Edman's defense better than Semien. I don't know that I necessarily agree that it's that much better. Sure, it's a little bit better, and Semien, I think, took a little bit of a step back from his Gold Glove defense in 2021, but he was still every bit the part of one of the probably top 3, maybe top 5 best defensive second baseman in all of baseball. So I don't think he should have won the Gold Glove. I think he should have at least been a finalist. But still, like, maybe he was. I actually can't remember if he was. But still, I think that Fangraphs should probably like his defense a little bit more. But I've got some pretty high expectations for Marcus Semien next year. I'm thinking that he plays somewhere around 160 games. Maybe 160 is too low. Maybe he's going to be like, yeah, I didn't like taking that one game off in 2022. Make sure that I play all 162. He has been healthy this spring. He has looked pretty good. but I'm projecting him to have a slash line of hitting 260, on base of 325, slugging 530. That's an 855 OPS, which I believe is right around what his career best mark was, a little bit under that. Actually, about a few points on that. His best mark for OPS for a season was 892 in 2019. He also had an OPS of 873 in 2021. Has never had a season above an 800 OPS outside of those two. So I'm thinking this is a pretty aggressive projection for him, but I think that he can hit it. Projecting him for 35 home runs, which would be the second most in his career behind the 45 he hit in Toronto/Buffalo in 2021. 30 stolen bases, which would be 5 more than he had this past year, which was 10 higher than he had ever had before. I think he's going to continue to be aggressive on the bases. I think he'll be on base a little bit more consistently this year. He had an on base of 304 for 2022, and I think that will be significantly higher as the leadoff man in 2023 for a much improved team and lineup and a 7 WAR season. This is more of what I'm thinking it'll be from Baseball Reference as opposed to Fangraphs, which even a 7 WAR season isn't his best WAR season. He had 8.5 WAR in 2019 and 7.3 WAR in 2021. Kind of interesting that he had a significantly higher WAR season in 2019, even though he was setting all of these records as an incredible second baseman in 2021. Maybe that's just because shortstop WAR is that much higher for a guy playing at that same level, or even a little bit level below what he was doing in 2021. But I am really optimistic about Marcus Semien. I've liked what I've seen from him in the spring. I have liked what I saw from him in the back half of last year, and I think because it was so rough to start, that kind of clouded my vision of how good he was last year. And going back and looking over these numbers, and even though you look at the kind of overall, if you want to look at the Baseball Savant numbers that aren't nearly as impressive, the things that he got better at were he was faster last year. He was much better about not swinging and missing or chasing. The outs above average were in the top 6% of baseball. But the max exit velocity, the average exit velo, xwOBA, hard hit, all of those other offensive numbers were really, really weighed down by what he did in the first 2 months of that season. I am expecting big things from Marcus Semien. I mean, comparing him to Adrian Beltre feels like a lot of pressure put on him, but I know he's putting even more pressure on himself. He is a veteran leader of this team, had a good season last year, and I think will have an even better one this year. Maybe he can even do it in the first half, and people can recognize and make him an all-star for only the second time in his long, illustrious Major League career. But good things are coming from Marcus Semien, and I think that will bode very, very well for the Rangers' success in 2023. But that's going to do it for this episode. I'm hoping to get an episode with Grant Schiller tonight to talk about what he saw in spring training. If not, that'll come next week. We're getting closer and closer to the start of the regular season, and I am so freaking stoked for opening day, which is just a little over 2 weeks away. So thank y'all so much for making Locked On Rangers your first listen. Now for your second listen, go check out Locked On Fantasy Baseball. Win your league by listening to Matt and Dom every day as they bring you the best fantasy draft strategies. Find Locked On Fantasy Baseball wherever you get your podcasts and on YouTube, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, where it's your team every day. Thank y'all so much for listening and subscribing. And until next time, don't forget to enjoy baseball.